Clearly, this is the continuation of the Legend of Korra Book 1 Air, and as the subtitle of this particular season suggests, this particular second season of The Legend of Korra deals with spirits. This is not a foreign concept when it comes to the Avatar franchise. They have shown spirits in the previous series as well. However, what is actually new in this particular season of The Legend of Korra, and the franchise as well, is that it involves dark spirits. There is a bit of an explanation as to why dark spirits are showing up at this point in the Avatar franchise, but that is not the least of my concerns in this point of The Legend of Korra, because if there's one thing that is quite evident throughout The Legend of Korra in its second season, is that the writers really put themselves in a corner. And this is due to the result of The Legend of Korra going beyond what was originally intended. You see, when Bryan Konietzko and Michael Dante DiMartino came out with Avatar: The Last Airbender, they pre-planned all 3 seasons before it even went into production. And it shows. Now, Avatar: The Last Airbender is not the first show to have this kind of recognition. There was a show in the 90s, a space opera television show created by J. Michael Straczynski, known as Babylon 5. J. Michael Straczynski planned out all 5 seasons of that television show. So if you're thinking Avatar: The Last Airbender did this first, you think again. Sadly, the biggest crutch with The Legend of Korra is that Season 1 was planned, but after Season 1, it feels like Bryan Konietzko and Michael Dante DiMartino were just making things up along the way. And you will see this throughout The Legend of Korra from this point on. Now, it would have been a miracle if Books 2, 3, and 4 expanded upon what Book 1 established and have a steady progression throughout each season, despite the pacing is different from Avatar: The Last Airbender. However, Book 2 Spirits is easily the weakest season that The Legend of Korra has to offer. Now, when The Legend of Korra Book 2 Spirits aired, I thought to myself, gee, the animation sure looks a bit different, but it actually looks pretty nice. However, on retrospect, the animation is not at its best in Book 2 Spirits. Now, you may have noticed there's a bit of a difference in character designs and how the animation is handled. This is because a Japanese animation studio known as Studio Pierrot, which has done works such as Naruto and Bleach, did most of the animation in The Legend of Korra Book 2 Spirits, and it really sticks out like a sore thumb. Now, there is some fluidity in the animation that Studio Pierrot offered in most of Book 2 Spirits, but when they take shortcuts, it looks bad compared to what Studio Mir provided with their animation for most of The Legend of Korra throughout the whole entire television series. Now, when you see an episode that's animated by Studio Mir, you will notice more consistent animation, which actually looks better. Not only did the animation quality in Book 2 Spirits dip, the script writing also suffers. And it's quite evident when you see certain characters behave. And I would like to talk about how Korra turns out in Book 2 Spirits. She's actually unlikable in Book 2 Spirits in a number of places compared to what I've seen her in Book 1 Air. And by that, I'm talking about whenever Korra disobeys her airbending teacher Tenzin, whenever Korra gets into arguments with her boyfriend Mako, and especially that one moment where she was having a bit of an argument with one of her own parents. By the way, the love triangle is also back in Book 2 Spirits, and it's painful. In the early episodes, I was already suspicious of this character, and if you already guessed that he is the villain of Book 2 Spirits early on, then congratulations, because Book 2 Spirits also has some predictability in it as well. And the sad thing is that Unalaq is related to Korra, and that would have made things interesting. But no, he is one of the most uninteresting antagonists that the Avatar franchise had to offer. I probably should mention Desna and Eska, the twins that are related to Unalaq as well. I don't care about them either. And also, one of them seems to have an interest in Bolin romantically, which also adds to this love triangle stuff that I didn't care for in the Legend of Korra Book 2 Spirits! Oh, and revisiting this particular season of Korra was not easy to go through because I had to revisit this! But there is at least one huge positive that Book 2 Spirits has to offer. The origin story relating to the mythos of Avatar. This origin story tapping into the mythos of Avatar The Last Airbender is actually what I consider the best thing to come from The Legend of Korra. It was actually interesting to see where the origins of the Benders came to be. And I also love the art direction throughout the two-part origin story of the mythos of Avatar The Last Airbender. And if this was the only extra piece of Avatar The Last Airbender content, I would be completely satisfied, because it would just serve as a prequel story to Avatar The Last Airbender that taps into the mythos of the franchise. But alas, it's part of The Legend of Korra. But it is definitely a highlight that this show has to offer. But by the time the end of Book 2 Spirits came, something happened and it left me torn. Which also leads to another Deus Ex Machina in The Legend of Korra. 2 times in a row. This second season was a mess, and a massive letdown from what Book 1 Air established this show. What a shame. I'm going to be shooting a 5.5 out of 10 for The Legend of Korra Book 2 Spirits. Well, I already reviewed half of Legend of Korra already, so I guess for the time being I will meditate for my next review. So until then, I'll see you later.